Hello and welcome to the Robbies Podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Jurgen Klopp gets a reaction from his team as they beat Rangers at Anfield. Spurs failed to bounce back from the North London derby as they draw 0-0 against Eintracht Frankfurt. Chelsea get their first Champions League win of the season, putting 3 past AC Milan. And Man City continue their impressive run as they ease past Copenhagen. And that's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
That's right, Mustoe, and we have a special announcement. Premier League Mornings Live is heading to Philadelphia, and we've partnered with Sports Engine to give your family a VIP experience on October the 15th and 16th. Enter now for a chance to win 4 VIP tickets with airfare and hotel included. All you've got to do is share a photo or video of your child's team or their soccer skills to Instagram using hashtag MyPLMornings, hashtag MyPLMorningssweepstakes, and tag and follow at NBC Sports Engine and at NBC Sports Soccer. Pack your bags fast. That winner is going to be announced next Monday on October the 10th, and one lucky family will be spending the day with me, Mr. Mustoe, and all the rest of the team at the Philadelphia Fan Fest. So terms and conditions will apply. Okay, my friend, let's turn it to week 3 of Champions League action. Big midweek, I thought, coming into the games, Rob. Just, Chelsea, poor start in the competition. Big game for Graham Potter. Liverpool, form's not been great in the Champions League themselves. So just thought it was a big midweek for a lot of the English sides. And as ever, we got plenty of drama. We got more good results than bad. Let's start off with Liverpool, because as I was sort of watching this game, and you know how you sort of see the Champions League anthem, they go down the list of players. I think there was a shot of Steven Gerrard and Sir Alex Ferguson. It all started to add to me, Rob, that this was a big night. This was a proper European night. Rangers, we weren't sure how, quite what level they were going to be, what kind of test it was going to be, but it felt like an important night, and we only had to look at the team sheet to realise Jurgen Klopp felt it was an important night, because the first big news of the night was he changed the system, Rob, something we've talked about in the past, but something we hadn't really seen.
Yeah, I think what I'd certainly said before, Rob, on our podcast was he needs to address the goals against. I mean, I know we can say it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and the team and maybe Sadio Mane's pressing, whatever's missing. Okay, you got to do something, change something, and he did change it. Basically, what that meant is that Thiago played alongside Jordan Henderson, Robbie midfield. That was the 2 part of the 4-2-3-1 formation. Jota played in and around Darwin Núñez, who was a number 9. Mo Salah to the right hand side, and Luis Diaz to the left hand side, and I liked it. Now, when you look at the team, Rob, you can look at it in 2 different ways. There's a little bit more protection there for the back 4. Yeah. There's certainly a little bit more protection for Alexander-Arnold, because when he goes, and he's going to continue to go forward, there's 2 players. One of them can absolutely fill over to the right. If there's just one holding player, one number 6 or whatever you want to call him, that's a kind of a big move for him to. If the 2 number 8s, the guys are out the picture, it's a big move for him to go across there. So I liked that, and I think Henderson does it really well. He's an intelligent player. Trent Alexander-Arnold, we'll get onto, still did his thing going forward. So I like that. The only thing, Rob, when you look at it another way on that system, is that you've got Mo Salah, Jota, Diaz, Darwin Núñez. I mean, that's 4 out-and-out attacking players. Now, they'll work. We've talked about that. Mo Salah will work and Luis Diaz will work. I thought he worked really hard again. But whether he'll go with this system going forward into the Premier League, I don't know whether he'll be a bit reticent, given you're playing with 4 defenders, Trent's like a midfield player, 2 holders, and then another 4 forwards. I liked it, again, for the reasons given. And I thought it worked really well. I mean, Rangers a little bit underpowered against Liverpool, Rob, at Anfield. And the days gone by, we've seen some brilliant games between the Scottish teams, Rangers and Celtic, and some of the big boys in England. But,
Remember Leeds playing Rangers one year, didn't it? It was a good Leeds team. Rangers came down and battered them.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, a big club. I mean, I don't know whether it's a side note in it about the Scottish League and the size of Glasgow Rangers and Glasgow Celtic.
Where would they fit in the Premier League now? I mean, cool.
Yeah. All we'd say, Rob, is that they are giant football clubs. And I'd love to see them come down and somehow play in English football and get to the Premier League, because with the money, Rob, and support, that would be a good watch for the league. Yeah,
absolutely. But as you say, I thought Rangers were almost perfect opposition for Liverpool on a game when Liverpool, as you said, were trying out a system. I like the system too. I thought there was some nice rotations at time. Nunez and Jota, particularly from that central position. Once or twice, Diaz comes in from the wide position. It's interesting with the four sort of forward players behind two holding, and I thought Jordan Henderson was outstanding in terms of getting across, and whenever there was a hole there, just blocking it off, where people are looking to hurt Liverpool when Trent goes forward. So we can then see the best of Trent. We can then see Trent in those attacking areas when he can make a difference. In the brilliant free kick just almost highlights how much technical ability this young kid has, and why you'd want him in and around your England squad, you would feel. What I was wondering, Rob, and I know whether he'll keep it in the league. He talked after the game, Klopp, of liking the system and liking the way his players adapted to it and took it on board. Is could we get back to a Liverpool press from the front with those four? So, okay, we might lose a little bit of defensive stability, taking a man out the middle, and whether you're not quite as protected. But if those four go hunting the ball, if those four can start a press, then behind them you've got two midfield players and Trent coming in. All of a sudden, that kind of feels like that could be interesting for me.
I agree, mate. I agree, and I'll tell you a couple of other things. I mean, to continue on that point, the system was a little bit different, but they were hungry. They were aggressive to win the ball back. Lots of repossessing of the ball in the final third. An extra hunger of winning the ball back that we haven't really seen. They've gone away from that. And one other point before I forget it, Rob, in terms of the system, is that I think when they play, with one holding player and a Harvey Elliott or a Thiago, then I think at times with Trent making crazy moves, runs inside, centre forward, outside right, I think it looks a little gung. It looks a little gung ho. It looks a little gung ho. And with the 4 and the 2, it's kind of it's a stronger foundation. What they normally do, as you can imagine, is 2 centre backs, 1 holding player. It's like a triangle that will get around any attacking player in the centre. This gives them a box of 4 players to do the same thing. So I liked it. And just to continue your point about the pressing, I think it's a great point. And I think they're all willing to do it. I think they're all willing to do it. All the front players that played in this game are willing to do it. So, yes, it might look more attack-minded because you've got the 4 players out there. But given the way the midfield players are playing, why not? Why not? I think they're great without the ball. You got Thiago and Henderson to get through if you get through the press of those 4 players. And then, of course, you got, whoever's back, 2 or 3 players. We're not assuming that Trent isn't most of the time. So I thought it was back to basics, different system, hungry, aggressive. I thought Darwin Nunez, Rob, I know he needs a goal pretty badly. Charges around. He's desperate to do well, and I think he will. There's a couple of opportunities.
There's a good energy about him. I think it's quite infectious. Just on that, Rob, and I was looking at the point because it was interesting. I was looking at the bench at one point, and then you see Fabinho. Firmino, I think, will come in and can fit in and out as we saw. But Fabinho, Rob, it's an interesting one. If you were thinking you're going to have 2 holding midfield players ahead of 4, Fabinho would probably in the past been your number 1 choice. Is that just lack of form, you think, that's got him out? Do you think in time he would be part of that, him and Hendo maybe? Or, to be honest, you lose a bit of creativity. Thiago can get on the ball, and once or twice he can come from deep, Connie, and he can see a pass. He can be a little bit more creative than we've seen. Is it the first time maybe Fabinho's going to have a spell where he might not be first choice?
Maybe, but I don't think it'll be long. And I think it's really interesting, Robbie. You think about potential opponents for Liverpool. If you're really worried about the counter-attacking threat, then you play Henderson with Fabinho, right? Again, knowing that you've got 4 out-and-out goal threats ahead of them. I mean, Thiago is great to have in there. You can have Thiago Henderson for some games. You have Thiago for Fabinho for some games. Players that might miss out a little bit is going to be Harvey Elliott. It's going to be Curtis Jones when they're fit and available. I'm not sure whether they can play one of those 2 double holding roles
No,
there.
no.
Maybe they can grow to do that. But I kind of like the options of Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, two of those three to sit behind and say to the front four and to Trent Alexander-Arnold that we should get onto now, Rob, go and do your thing. And also fullback on the other side. It was Tsimikas in his game.
Tsimikas does pretty well, by the way.
Yeah. So they will be encouraged maybe a little bit more to get forward. Depends how the game is. So I really would like to see Jurgen Klopp stick with this for a little while, even if it's just the next few games to get some stability. Again, like, you can say it's only Glasgow Rangers and it was a comfortable game at Anfield, but I kind of liked a lot of what I saw in general, not just those changes. What about Trent?
Trent was everything I know about Trent, what he can be. Scores a brilliant free kick, can get in those. He's playing obviously higher up the pitch when he goes. I thought he picked his moments better. Didn't think he went too many times. Thought obviously Henderson did a good job. We've talked about going over and filling that gap when he did go. Trent was Trent, Rob, and I think Trent almost answers the questions. This is where I am at the moment. His man just talked about he's got to improve his defending if he's going to be a top class player, which I still think there's work to be done. But going the other way on the pitch is a match winner, Rob. In a Champions League level football game, this guy can change the game for you.
Yep, and he's outstanding. I mean, I couldn't love him anymore with the ball at his feet. Not just the obvious stuff of free kicks and crosses, but in general, Rob, in the game at right back. He did have to pick out some passes, by the way. Like reverse passes into strikers and first-time balls into space. And just a very, very talented player. I thought, given the pressure that must be around him, Rob, all the time, from all corners, from England flipping comments and Liverpool not doing great. I thought his reaction after the goal was kind of classy. Didn't go crazy. Didn't sort of giving all this with his ear, or he didn't run anywhere to throw it in anybody's face. He is confident in his own ability because he knows what he can do. And we heard it from Jurgen Klopp, Rob, last week. We talked about it a little bit, where he is asked by Jurgen Klopp to play really high, to almost be the first line of defense, the first line of pressure. So there will be times where his attacking player gets in behind him again. That's why we liked Jordan Henderson playing alongside him. So I thought, given the situation with England, with the right backs that there is, I thought he couldn't do any more than that. And I mean, there's individual defending moments that, as his manager said, he's 23, he's going to get better. But I thought his reaction, his response, I suppose, into this game was top class. And he is a brilliant, brilliant footballer. No question about that.
On the matter of him, and I agree totally in terms of sometimes, the composure that he shows and you say the quality of his passing on the ball at times gets people don't appreciate. No. But one person I have to mention, and he was the captain, and I was disappointed it came off, and he played in a two, took the responsibility of filling. Jordan Henderson, my friend, and I heard him after the game talking a little bit about being the captain of Liverpool, and it's been a difficult period, and he's saying how at times he doesn't want to be barking at people, but he talked about in the first 10 minutes of the game, actually, he gave Trent a rocket or two to fire him up and get him going. So he gave a couple of balls away. He talked about sitting in the dressing room at times and just sitting and talking with players and motivating them. And I just thought, this is the step we talked about it before, about modern day captains, Rob. And he's a modern day captain now who goes about his business, and he says, he understands his teammates. He gets to know his teammates. He gets to understand the things that motivate them. And I just think he's a very special individual, Jordan Henderson. And it was interesting because he said, you remember the start of his Liverpool career, he was getting quite a lot of stick, and people were suggesting he wasn't good enough, and he was going to get the captaincy. And he said, I took all that and remembered some of those times and have helped Trent get through a difficult period. So it was an interesting conversation with Jordan Henderson after game, just talking about responsibilities and how football's very different, how social media's changed a footballer's life. And, everybody has a comment, everybody's got a criticism now, and there's no getting away from it. So, I just want to...
Where was that interview, Rob? Was that after the game?
After the game, yeah. He did it after the game.
Right. A couple of players I want to mention, Rob. One for great or good, one for not so good. Luis Diaz again, the run and the dribble for the penalty. I do. If there's a player in this team that I really want to do well. It's him. I don't know why. He's such a likable player because of his hunger and his work ethic and his never say die and his mental kind of state in games, I think never goes down. It's always super positive. I thought he played great from the left-hand side again. And I get that a lot of people talking about Sadio Mane is being missed. Well, I mean, he's getting goals. He's producing. You can't say he doesn't press as well. So I really, really liked his performance. And the last one, Rob, I want to mention in this game is Mohamed Salah. Now he gets the goal with his penalty, and great. You know, he's thrilled and stuff like that. I'm going to ask. I'll say what I think, and I'm going to throw it over to you. Now, I don't know if there's some. I mean, we know there's a couple things changed with the team and in his contract and all that. He doesn't seem quite as hungry / greedy to score. Hungry / greedy. Now that, you know, again, I'm throwing stuff out there. You know, with a different striker that's trying to get goals. Luis Diaz is trying to get goals. Is it, you know, the fact that there's a certain guy in the league that's ripping up in terms of Ballon d'Or is going to win the flipping is going to be ahead of everybody else. Is he lost a little bit of desire to score? And that hungry bit and the greedy bit, Rob, that we kind of edged on complaining
well, he got criticised at one point about that, but it was also one of those standout. I mean, you're right. I mentioned, I think, when we did a book room on Sunday and we talked about players, and I said, there's great years and there's, you know, I think he'd had 2 or 3 Premier League goals at this stage. But I said, for me, Robbie, he's not been the same player this season. It's not. And the hunger, despite the skill, the speed, the ability to finish, the hunger was a big part of Mo Salah.
Well, is his desperation to be the top goal scorer.
Desperation to score goals and be the guy. And when that goes, he doesn't quite become the same player.
No.
And I don't know if that's something that you pick up. I don't something that dips, or maybe like not even thought about the Haaland thing, and maybe thinking like, well, that, you know, that's gone already. But something I think we've got to watch for. Something at times we'll look out. And if, you know, you got to remember these Firmino, these Jota, these Diaz, these Nunez now, and Salah. I mean, there's 5 players for possibly 3 positions at time, 4 if you're changing the system. And Mo Salah
used to be number 1. He used to be number 1 on the team sheet. I'm not sure he is now. Without doubt. He's not now, is he?
Diaz would probably be number 1 right now, I would think.
One more thing before we move on, Robbie. I want to get we'll have a quick line about the big game against Arsenal at the weekend. I just want to give a shout out to Alan McGregor, the Rangers goalkeeper.
I've got the same note. I thought it was outstanding.
He's 40. He's 40 years of age, been around a little bit. I think he's had 2 spells at Glasgow Rangers. Yeah, 2 spells. Was a Scottish national goalkeeper. I mean, it could have been
74 appearances over 2 spells.
Is it? Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I thought he kept him in the game first half. Tons of really good saves. A real pro. Loved by the Rangers fans, I'm sure. I just thought he, you know, I know we don't always get to, you know, other teams when we do some of these breakdowns.
McGregor deserved a mention, because I thought they were a little disappointed until the last 5-10 minutes when a couple of subs came on live and it up a little bit. I thought I was a bit disappointed in Rangers. I've got to be honest. Thought they'd have a little bit more of a go. We'll see how the return leg goes next weekend. But yeah, good shout for Alan McGregor. The game at the weekend, Rob, is interesting because yes, the win was important for Liverpool and gets them a little bit. There's a little bit more hunger and desire. But in recent years, Liverpool have almost. Oh, it's Arsenal. We'll deal with that. It hasn't really been a big hurdle for them in recent years.
Yeah, different now, isn't it?
I think it's very different. It's very, very different. I think despite the win, and I know Arsenal are playing in the Europa League tomorrow, and I would expect that'll be many of the players who are not starting in the first team. I would think there's more confidence in the Arsenal camp than there is in the Liverpool camp right now.
Yeah, I get that, but I think this was really good for Liverpool, Rob. And I know maybe they should have scored more goals. I know it's only Glasgow Rangers from the Scottish League, but I think they'll take a lot from that game. And again, thinking about the system and how Arsenal play, love to see with 2 holding players again. I think, you know, and the same team. Maybe Firmino will come in as an experienced player, Rob. I think maybe Darwin Núñez might jump to the bench. So you might see that. But I think it's a really interesting game. I mean, talk about a dangerous team. If Arsenal think that they're the real deal, and things have changed because, you know, on the face of it, at the moment, it's different where Arsenal at the top of Liverpool aren't.
Yeah.
But we've seen nothing. There's nothing to suggest that Arsenal won't be at it. They've been at it every single game. Manchester United, of course, they lost, but in general, they played well that day. So I think it's a fascinating game, Rob. And you know, I think any result wouldn't surprise me. I think if we were going to have a bet, like one of our jokey bets in the studio, we'd probably say one of us got to take Arsenal, one's got to take Liverpool. Nobody gets to draw because sometimes
draw no bet.
Draw no bet.
Go on then.
Well, I think.
Go on. Well, I'll take Arsenal then. I'll take Arsenal because you're talking yourself in Liverpool.
No, I'm just saying it's a tight decision.
Yeah,
it's a tight decision. Yeah. You will take Arsenal.
I'll take Arsenal.
All right, I'll take Liverpool. Draw no bet, and it's an even money bet. Like it'll be $10 or whatever, and we'll see. I think it's tight. I think it's going to be a tight game.
Listen, it is tight. I mean, and it'll almost be like if Liverpool do go away, both teams playing similar formation. Yeah. Both teams want the ball. You know, turnovers are going to be incredible again.
Yeah.
But I just think Spurs, having got over Spurs, who many thought were, you know, the team that set up to hurt Arsenal and getting through. And no, Spurs went down to 10 men, but the football that Arsenal played in the groove manner and the little thing. I'm happy to go with the Gunners on.
I think if I'm looking at Mo Salah running against Alexander Zinchenko, I kind of like that on any kind of transitional turnover. I would kind of like Darwin Nunez to run at Gabriel if there's any kind of turnover. I'm just kind of saying how you know, this side of the bet that we're gonna have, you know, that there could be joy for Liverpool, but we'll see. Brilliant game. I mean, that's what
exactly those same arguments were being put last week of Son and Kane and Richarlison, and they came through it. So a great test, great game. Let's see how that one goes. A friendly $1 in it for the winner.
Yeah, why not?
Let's move it on, my friend.
Okay.
The game on Tuesday was Eintracht Frankfurt versus Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs coming off the defeat in the derby would want to go and get at least a point in the game. They got the point. No goals scored. A frustrating evening, pretty much for Spurs.
Yeah, frustrating, Rob, but a little different. Because first off, what a great atmosphere, by the way. This stadium, I think it's 50,000 people in there, like famed for the atmosphere and the fans and stuff. So I thought I enjoyed it because of that as well, the atmosphere. But it was different because Eintracht Frankfurt, Robert, you know, they don't really want the ball either. So it was a game where Spurs had a lot of the ball. It was there for them. The game was there for them. I mean, it's just a little bit different. I mean, when you look at 0-0, right? And that will always be that's the score, right? That's what happened. But my goodness, the amount of chances and opportunities they missed, Rob, particularly Harry Kane in the first half. Yeah. I mean, there must have been 3 where he's sat on the ground thinking, how didn't I score that? Now, I think in general, they're too safe, Spurs. But when those front 3 players start to combine, they combined really well. They created the chances by themselves. I still think that this team lacks, and I hinted, I think, at it last podcast, it lacks a number 10. It lacks a playmaker. Yeah. It lacks that link. It's got 3 centre backs. It's got wing backs. One's a steady Eddie wing back in Emerson Royal. Did he play in it? I can't remember.
Yeah, Royal played.
I think he was.
Royal played right side. Perisic left. It was the same team that played against Arsenal. Same team.
Yeah. And Sessegnon, is he gonna? If you don't think Emerson Royal is going to give you an assist, no. 3 centre backs, probably not. Perisic, all right, okay, from the left. The 2 midfield players, are they going to give you an assist? Are they going to regularly give you an assist in the team for the season long? No, not really. So you've only got 3 players to create and score the goals. And I think you can look at a lot of the other teams. And I'm not just talking the best teams, Rob. I'm talking about in the Brighton, or I know other teams where there's a lot more players that can add to the attacking output. So listen, the front 3 did okay, and this everything right apart from scoring. But I just wonder if Antonio Conte is tempted at some point to in certain games maybe to leave one of the front 3 out, play with, like we saw in the game. The last game, was it when they went to was it Leicester game?
Yeah, Basuma came in.
Yeah. You know, no, I don't know if it's going to be Basuma, but they might have to get somebody else to be that link, that creative part. I think that would help them immensely, Rob, in general. But again, that's a bit of a side note because this was different. They should have won this every day, every game. It was there for the taking. The frustration, in my opinion, if you saw it differently, the frustration was that the front three did a lot of good work themselves, just didn't finish it off. This should have been 3 points for Spurs.
Yeah, and if you're going to play that way, if you are basing your whole tactic and way of playing on being defensive, being deep, and those three, they've got to get the goals up. They've got to score the goals, haven't they? Because everything is built on those three doing that. And if it doesn't, we get results like here. And it was the same. I watched the highlights package. I didn't see all the game in fairness, but as I'm watching and chances being taken, I'm thinking about, like I say, either a number 10 or a kind of proper number 8. Number 8, Rob, who can score me a goal. A Frank Lampard-esque number 8 who's going to make runs in the box, who's going to get onto a couple of things and maybe, toe poke one in from 6 yards because he's got a good eye for goal. Just feel they lack a little bit of inspiration and ingenuity from somebody who's not those front three. And listen, the front three we know on their day can be top class, as good as you can get in Europe. But if any of them are having a bit of an off time, then like you say, I don't see where else. Emerson Royal, Rob, I'm at the stage where I think it's time to make a decision. I don't think he's a good enough defender. Don't think he's good enough in the last third. His final ball's not good enough. How many times they worked him in and got in and he shanks things. He doesn't quite find the right cross. You see Trent yesterday. You see Reece James today. You see what that level of quality of wide
and the difference it makes.
Do.
The difference it makes when you've got one of those in the wider area.
Emerson Royal is not that guy. And, bless him, I know he's worked hard. I know at the moment he's in favour, but in that system again, you've got to get somebody who's going to be a little bit more productive for you, even if they can't defend that well. And your shape's not bad. When you get forward, you've got to be able to deliver a ball or pick somebody out in the box.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Conte, I think didn't he have to sort of like, I don't know, it was after the game of the weekend, he kind of justified himself a little bit. You got to trust me. I'm a winner. I can teach a lot of people about football. So we see what he's all about. And we've said this before, Rob. There was one chance for Eintracht Frankfurt where they could have scored from like 5-6 yards out. There's an opportunity. So it's not as though Spurs are super solid defensively. There's kind of like sneaky issues, with the defensive side as well. Again, we talked about a lot. So they're grinders. They're grinding. We said this on match
clean sheet. That's one tick in his box, and then as he said, you can't win a game without scoring a goal. So he's now looking at, was it 10? I think it was 10 shots, only one on target for both. Yeah,
I think I think up to some point there was no shots on target, but that's where that stat.
It doesn't quite tell the story.
Because Kane missed them like 3 yards out the ball, fresh in front of him on one. There's a couple of shots that went wide and stuff that were close. So they had good chances to score and win the game. And I think they were kicking themselves because that, with that atmosphere, not an easy place to go, but they bossed it. And they looked okay with the ball, Rob. They looked okay with the ball, and it changed a little bit.
It'll be interesting next week when they have ball and at home and have the fan, the noise in their stadium, will that boost them on to go and get that, get that goal, 1 or 2 goals early in the game. That opens things up for them.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, there's not much else to say. I mean, I just thought it was a little different because, my goodness, like 0-0, you think, oh gosh, Spurs, but they another day they could have won this game easily. It was a bad day for the front players, and normally that's not the problem with Spurs. That being said, I still think they could do with a little bit of sparkle, bit of magic in
a little bit of something in that midfield. Team that ended up winning reasonably easily was Chelsea at Stamford Bridge today. Chelsea 3, AC Milan 0. Another big game, another anticipation. Graham Potter got his first Premier League win at the weekend at Palace, and a lot of eyes on the game today. Chelsea needing a result to keep themselves in with a chance of going through, and obviously go to Milan next week. Again, I was a little disappointed in Milan. I thought Chelsea were well set up, got the goals at good times. I thought AC Milan started the game reasonably well, and I thought, this is going to be interesting. But 10, 15 minutes in the game, I just felt like they dropped off, went deep. Chelsea dominated, got the goal and Fofana from the corner. What obviously AC Milan zonal marking just didn't have a clue what to do. I think the first 3 corners came in. Yeah. Thiago gets his head on the ball and eventually, he gets the goal. From that point on, it always looked as though, as long as Chelsea weren't silly, game management was good possession of the ball. They were going to run out winners. And again, talking of English right backs, Reece James, Robbie, played in Wimbledon, was outstanding, I thought, today against Leao, who's a decent, difficult player who, many are looking at in Europe. I believe Chelsea are even looking at as one of those Portuguese winger. But I thought Reece James just mentally was too strong, physically too strong, and put his game on Leao and shows you what a quality wide player can offer, and the difference maybe between a Reece James and a Emerson Royale.
Absolutely right. I was interested, Rob, in the way they played, because I'm fascinated by this, and I'm fascinated by Potter's switching of stuff and tactics, and I think he does it deliberately, Rob. I think he does it deliberately. I think it keeps people sharp. I think the bonus, of course, is that opponents don't know how they're going to play. 4-2-3-1 in the last game. Yeah. Can't remember the first game, but something a little different. This was back to pretty basic, simple to see formation. 3 at the back, 4 across midfield, and 3 spread across the front. Mount to the left. I mean, we've had Sterling. It's case in point. I mean, Sterling's been left wing back. I think he's been up front on the left hand side. He's been on the right hand side. On the right hand side of our front 3 in this game. Bammy in the middle. Sterling to the right. Mount to the left. So I kind of like that about Potter. It's different to what's happened before. If you think about it, Rob, right? Say if the players are getting frustrated and the results aren't coming, Potter's going to chuck something in. Where before on the Thomas Tuchel, when it started to get a little stale, there was nothing different, was there? It was like, oh, here we go again.
He'd often go same for same. He'd take one wide player off and put another wide player on.
Like for like subs, but the same slow kind of build up. 3 goals for Chelsea. Again, Milan were disappointing. Yeah, I know, some of the better players are out injured. But I just think there's a little bit, apart from the switching things around, which is going to be keep the players on their toes, interesting and different and tough to kind of play against. I think there's just a little bit more desire to score, to get forward. I got to say, I mean, Raheem Sterling, Rob, and I just think I'm such a big fan of Raheem Sterling. I just think he's such a nuisance. He's such a consistent player, a consistent performer, always up for it. Big heart. Good ability, gets opportunities. He should score more. He should get more goals than he does.
Sometimes technically he's a little.
Yeah, his technical finishing isn't perfect, but I just like his versatility. Obviously, he's had good success, by the way, everywhere he's been. He's done it everywhere he's been. Liverpool to Man City to Chelsea. I'm a big fan of his, and I know that some people aren't, and and they get frustrated. I just think he's such a good player.
Bammy
gets his goal. Go ahead.
I spent a day with Chelsea at the summer. They were at UCLA training. Was invited up, was able to watch things. Had 20 minutes with Tuchel, and it was really interesting. The first thing he was talking about players coming in. I think obviously Sterling had signed. Koulibaly was close. They're looking at 1 or 2 others at the time. And the first thing he said was just kind of took me back a little bit, where he just went, "Gosh, I didn't realise how good a player Raheem Sterling was till I've worked with him." And it was like, wow, and he just says, his hunger, his touch, his ability, his winning the ball back. He said, he's such a good influence on the rest of the group. And it's when I think it's when people in the game and people who are working with quality players say things like that it does sort of put you on your heels a little bit. And I agree. And I think wherever he plays, he's a much more mature footballer than he was back in the day. I think his timing of his ball into James is perfect. He sees things much more creative in his game, not just for himself. I think he used to almost just play for Raheem Sterling. Now I think he's very much a team player, and can play any one of those 3 positions up top if needed, central if needed.
Anyone
can play in them, because he's been well grooved and well skilled, probably under Pep, to be interchangeable. And I think great bit of business. Aubameyang's another interesting one, Rob. For me, 2 and 2, right place, right time. Lovely ball from James, gets there, finishes. Again, I looked at his record, mate. 129 Premier League appearances, 69 Premier League goals. I mean, that's virtually 1 in 2 for somebody who...
we know that, Rob. We know that. Yeah. I mean, there's no surprise to anybody. He's a scorer.
Seems like he gets on well. Heard Graham Potter say about it. Looks like he's great with the boys in the dressing room.
Any problems in the dressing room? Any lateness issues and other stuff that was working down everybody's...
that, because I'm saying if you maybe got to handle him a certain way, maybe the lads around him a different way, but looks happy. Listen, some may say wait till it starts going wrong, but I just think he looks to me, Rob, like a player with a little something like he's got left to prove. That maybe the way he left Arsenal wasn't good for him and didn't put him in a good light, and he's going to come back and show people that he can still score goals, but he can do it in a much more controlled manner with a good group. So I just thought he could be the player that Lukaku wasn't for Chelsea, in a centre forward who plays down the middle of the park, who will get you goals if you give him service.
Yeah, and also with a different manager with maybe a little bit more of a different impetus on the team to play forward and to cross a ball that Lukaku may have appreciated Potter more than he did Thomas Tuchel. A couple of little ones, Rob, for you. Wesley Fofana. Yeah. Interesting.
Goal and an injury.
A goal injury. And I remember early on, he came out with the ball, tried to do too much, got caught on it, got sacked on the ball. They almost scored on the counter-attack. Then he goes forward and scores a goal, and then he gets injured. First off, really hope it's not a bad injury because he's had a ton of bad injuries. But a player that could be superb for Chelsea. I think he's going to need managing, Rob. Like it's a couple of times now where he's kind of trying to dribble out, trying to do a little bit too much. I know he's good at that generally. But I thought he had like a kind of a bit of a wild, crazy game of looking great, giving it away, scoring a goal, and then getting that injury. And one last thing I want to say.
Hasn't he got a guy next to him who can do that though, mate? Thiago Silva, who's an absolute
brilliant. Yeah, he's brilliant.
I think it's 99 Champions League games he's played now. He plays 100th in San Siro against AC, who he obviously played for before. Yeah. I mean, if anybody can teach him, he could teach him. If anybody can learn off, Fofana could learn off him, Rob.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, every time I watch Thiago Silva, and I'm not going to say it anymore because I said it for ages about how great he is. He's like a midfield player. He could play in the middle of the park in any team because he's so good on the ball and his distribution.
Makes good decisions.
I mean, I love him. I think he's a brilliant player. One last thing, Rob. I'm going to have a little moan here, mate. I'm going to have a little moan.
That's not like you, my friend.
Well, I've not had a moan for a little while. This has been bugging me. Been bugging me this season. 70 minutes on the clock, 3-0 to Chelsea. Tons of subs for Milan. 5 subs. And 4 subs. I think it's 3 from Milan, 4 from Chelsea. Game over. Yeah. And then we get this. I tweeted it out. Then we get this kind of like weird little thing where people are running around. You get this weird little game for 20 minutes. Now, are we all right with this, by the way? And it's all because these extra subs. There's 5 subs now. And what basically teams are doing is that when a game is kind of out of the balance and it's kind of done, the game finishes.
Yeah, they're getting people off. Because
they want to get people off because they can now, because the big clubs got their way and they've got these extra 5 subs all the time now. It's in European football, of course, it has been, but it's also in the Premier League. The fans, I just think the fans, if I'm there, right, and I want to watch the best players and the best team, I kind of want to see them, most of them, for 90 minutes. Now you're going to get a game of 70 minutes or whatever, 75 minutes, all the subs come on, totally different, and it's like the game's over. The whole tempo changes. I think we're seeing this, Rob. Not just this one. This was a great example, Chelsea-Milan games, great example of it. But there's been other games in the Premier League where I'm like, oh, here we go. 4 or 5 subs coming on.
Well, it was interesting in the derby. It happened in the derby. City was 6-1 up, but made 4 subs, but then, United got 2 goals back. Now, maybe if that was a 3-0, 3-1 game, maybe something different. But I hear what you're saying. I just think the big clubs and the big managers, now with the amount of games, and obviously mostly playing every 3 days, Rob, between now and
what's changed? The break. What's changed in the last decade? Why is that? Is there more games now?
Well, a World Cup in December is changed, and the amount of games that are going to have to be squeezed into this period is different.
All right. So if they I guess we can suck it up for one season, given this a crazy season, maybe extra games where not normal. But in general, this is going to continue. We know that now.
The big clubs have got something that they're not going to let go of. And it was always the case. And I remember Sean Dyche coming out for his little old Burnley when it started and said, yeah, of course the big boys want it because they've got all the big players on the bench. So they can shut a game down, and the little teams are not going to be in a position.
Yeah,
and
they change the team
again. That's flexing the muscles of the big boys, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. We'll see if it goes. It might just be me being a miserable, moaning Brit, which I know I am. I just see. Let's just keep our ear to the ground on that, and whether fans are okay with the star players leaving after 70 minutes because they've done their job, and some others come on, and you get this kind of. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on, mate.
Well, I didn't see the game, but Man City at half time made a substitute. Earle and Haaland came off at half time. I mean, got 2 goals, and I think they were 3-0 up. I think at that stage, I think it was 3 at half time. Ended up being 5-0. No surprise in the scoreline. No surprise at Haaland with a couple more goals. That's 19, mate, in all competition. We're in the first week of October. I'm sure he'd have been disappointed he wasn't able to get another hat-trick just to add to those, but obviously being saved for a game at the weekend, which is home to Southampton. He's probably going to get another 6 goals, by the way. It was City being City. It was Copenhagen. Every time I saw the clips of this, it was the Copenhagen coach, Rob, looking at the iPad on the side of the pitch, scratching his head and looking at his coach.
They got more men than us. They got more men than us.
What else can we do? But City being City, Haaland getting more goals. The other thing that they're starting to hit, I watched all Haaland's goals back the other day, just before the derby, just to get a sense now. How many times he's either off the ground, like side footing, that big heavy side foot, or one-touch finishes in the box?
One-touch finish, yeah.
One-touch finishes. One-touch finishes, I always say.
And tap-ins. Lots of tap-ins,
yeah, he got the tap-ins, yeah. Because we talk about hunger, you talk about Mo Salah. This guy couldn't be more hungry for everything. But the one-touch finish is always is better technique than people think, because it's hard to hit a ball sometimes first time as it comes to you. It's understanding of where to be and what position you are, because you don't need a touch to stop it or set it up, and getting your body addressed to the ball, the angle of the ball, is the ball high, is the ball on the floor. This guy does all those things as naturally as I've ever seen a forward in Premier League history.
You're right. And the other advantage, of course, the huge advantage is that goalkeepers hate it. The first time finishes in the box is where goalkeepers... They can't get set. They can't get set. If you take a touch, they can kind of move their feet. They can kind of read what you're thinking, where you're going to put it. First time finish is the hardest for them. And we see it at the weekend, didn't we? The left foot for his hat-trick goal,
big left foot, yeah.
I mean, this one with his right foot on the other side just sweeps it into the back of it. I mean, every time he pulls his leg back and strikes the ball towards goal, you expect the net to bulge. I mean, again, are we going to be this every show, Rob? Are we going to be like thinking, what the heck?
It's getting a bit tiresome, isn't it?
They win games. I mean, where are we with Man City? I know Copenhagen, maybe it's a bad time to think about how great they could be. Could they go unbeaten in the Premier League? Something our producers chucked in there and like, good shout. Like they could go unbeaten. I mean, anything's possible with this team, Rob, with how special the team was. Then you add this crazy striker.
There's an off day in everybody, Rob. There's an off day. The Premier League, there's an off day. We've seen with Man City, we've seen this before. Group stage of Champions League, Pep still to win one, mate. So I know. Those are all the things that are the questions. Is he the X factor that makes it different? Could possibly be. The Real Madrid game when they were 4-3, I think at the time, he might have scored 2 more goals. Where
maybe they're just going to outscore. Yeah, maybe they're going to outscore everybody
and whatever. But listen. We haven't seen a streak like it. We've not seen a player like him. We talked about it the weekend, and
when everybody says it, Rob. When everybody says it, wherever you want to listen to your punditry or the games, whichever country. I mean, people are saying exactly the same thing. As like, this is kind of crazy that we've never seen nothing like this. So that's when I heard somebody. This is abnormal.
To add to that, Rob, I heard somebody saying like, anywhere in the country, if you get a chance to go and see him, it's that good. It's that big.
To see him live with the size of him, and the power and the speed, and
which is Ronaldo-esque. This is Messi-esque, isn't it? Whenever they played in Europe, people just want in England, people just want to go and see them. I think Earle Haaland's getting to that stage, and
he's 22, Rob. He's 22.
Lot of football. Apparently, it's his dad's lasagna, isn't it? Was a reading? Was it? Daniel Gafiotov put out that his dad. What's his secret? His dad his dad bakes him a lasagna the night before the game.
Mate. Jeez, we'd have known that. If we'd have known that. My wife can make a great lasagna as well, by the way. She makes a brilliant lasagna.
But you didn't get 19 goals in your first games in October. All right, mate. Let's move on. Let's wrap things up here with. Let's just quickly go to Monday night, actually, because obviously we did our last podcast on the Sunday. Game came after, didn't it? Leicester, Nottingham Forest, East Midlands derby, which wasn't the biggest derby of the weekend, but important to both managers for a number of reasons. Brendan Rodgers, bang under pressure. No wins so far this season. Nottingham Forest, with all the amount of players in and things going particularly wrong for them. Steve Cooper under a little bit of pressure. Leicester do Brendan a favour, courtesy of James Manson, who was outstanding on the night. Leicester 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Get the sense that a bit of breathing room now for Brendan. Steve Cooper, on the other hand, Rob, there's a bit of talk that, something might happen there with the ownership.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't. I think, there's talk about Rafa Benitez, Rob, isn't there? Like I driving home from the studio and the phoning's already started. Like there's rumours that he's getting lined up.
Sean Dyche got mentioned as well, didn't he? I think. Yeah,
give him some more time to sift through this. I mean, give him some more time to try and find the right way. It just is a bad look, Rob, when they got smashed through the midfield in a very simple tactical malfunction of the team. Where Leicester's, bright. Leicester can be bright. And Brendan Rodgers is bright. Madison played right side.
Man in there, didn't he?
And he just came inside all the time and had no answer to it.
He took both the midfield players off, didn't he, at half time as well?
Yeah. You've got to be able to react to that, haven't you? Or have somebody tell you, why don't we just put another guy in midfield? Like, let's fill up this area. So that wasn't a good look for Steve Cooper. No. But I hope he gets to the World Cup. Give him some more games. But I think this Marinakis, the Greek owner, also the owner of Olympiacos, I think he's already fired his manager this season, I believe. Olympiacos owner as well. So I think he's got a bit.
They brought in a chief scout from Watford, by the way, as well, which obviously means plenty more businesses coming in. And Watford just alarm bells straight away, like managers. Yeah, but
outplayed. Leicester City. Well, the only thing I'd say, like, where's that been? If you're a Leicester fan, I get it. It's an East Midlands derby. It's Monday night football night. It's a big night. Monday night live football night in England and UK. They know the cameras on them. They know the pressure's on the manager. They know that they had to perform, and that helped them. It helped them with their intensity, with their football, with their pressing, with their work rate. Not so open, more compact. Really, really good. Let's see it every week. Week before we start to say, "Oh, Brendan's okay for a few weeks." But no.
Just quick one on the last thing on this one. Well, first of all, contrast between Jesse Lingard and James Maddison couldn't be any bigger. James Maddison still got an outside chance for England. Is there still hope? There's Mount, there's Foden, there's Grealish, there's Sterling, there's Jude Bellingham. Could he find a little spot?
I really hope so, Rob. I really hope so. Because I know what's going to happen now. I'm telling you right now. Where are we in now? We're in flipping October. I'm telling you what's going to happen right now. In key moments in this World Cup for England, we're going to lack some sparkle. We're going to lack a little bit of creativity, a little bit of quality. James Maddison can bring it. And I think he can bring it in any game at any level. Probably off the bench for the way that Gareth likes to play. Yeah. I'll throw it back to you. Who would you rather have in your team or to come off the bench?
Well, yeah, it's
James Maddison
in the squad.
James Maddison. No, but who's he going to come in for the squad for then?
No, I'm saying as James of the squad though, rather than my team.
But I'm giving you a choice here for the squad. I'm giving you the choice of James Maddison or Jack Grealish. Who are you picking for the England squad?
Jack Grealish.
I'm not. Jack
Grealish will have played himself in a bit more form, I think, as well. I think he's confident. He's playing with a bit more confidence.
But his numbers still aren't. His numbers, Rob, are still not great. Madison's numbers are great. Goals and assists. He's buzzing.
Yeah,
Jack's still got to bring that. Yeah, but you still have.
I would still have Jack.
Yeah,
I still think Jack.
Yeah. All right.
Interesting.
Okay, interesting.
Let's before we fall out any further, let's just go to Tuesday's results. Bayern Munich putting 5 past Victoria Plzen. Porto 2, Bayer Leverkusen 2, Ajax 1, Napoli 6. That was a crazy one, wasn't it? I think Ajax went 1-0 up in that game.
Napoli decent, top of the Serie A.
Yeah, going well at the moment.
Yeah.
Marseille 4, Sporting Lisbon 1. Alexis Sanchez getting the equalising goal for Marseille, who went on to win there. Forgot that he was even around.
Yeah.
Club Blues 2, Atletico Madrid 0. And Inter Milan getting a 1-0 win against Barcelona, mate. Inter Milan have not been going so well in Serie A. Get a good result at home against mighty Barcelona that had Lewandowski, that had Rafinha, that had Dembele as a front line.
Yeah, again, we saw highlights of that. Really nice goal from Inter. Was it just before half-time? Moved inside, lovely touch to get out of his feet, pulls it back, sticks it in the corner. And then they had the big penalty shout, wasn't it, Rob? The handball that wasn't given. Dumfries, I think it was a defender that the VR couldn't figure out from the images that he actually handled the ball. Yeah. So that was a bit of a joke, to be honest, VAR wise. But no, I mean, they're still recoverable, I think, for Barcelona. But there's a good 1-0. Yeah, and other games, Rob, and we can't go through all of them. Celtic lost to Leipzig. Sevilla was struggling. Lopetegui, it looks like he could be coming to Wolves. Sevilla, they lose at home to Dortmund 4-1. Benfica, PSG 1-1. So it was a little bit of drama, a little bit of pushing stuff on afterwards. Neymar in the middle of that. I saw it's got a lovely goal. Messi scored that goal. Yeah. Beautiful goal. Real Madrid 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 1. Oh gosh, whenever I think of Shakhtar Donetsk, I think of that area of Ukraine that's getting that must be incredible, tough for those people there. I was in Donetsk in the European Championships in 2012, and a beautiful little town. Juventus 3, Maccabi Haifa 1, and Salzburg 1, Dinamo Zagreb 1. That's kind of your roundup of the scores, mate. It's the next round, isn't it? It's next week.
Yeah,
it's kind of reverse, isn't it?
The reverse games of where you were home or away this weekend. So next weekend, So and then we start getting down to the nitty gritty as we, obviously with the truncated season, everyone wants to get done before the break and make sure they're through to the group stage. Listen, mate, another action-packed midweek Champions League action. Liverpool got back to winning ways and won the Battle of Britain against Rangers. Man City hit Copenhagen for 5. Haaland's got 19 goals now in all competitions. Crazy numbers. And Chelsea overcame what I thought was a mediocre Milan at Stamford Bridge. We'll be back on Sunday, October the 9th, when we'll look back at the weekend of Premier League action. This sees Arsenal host Liverpool and Everton face Manchester United. See how they recover from the goal. But for now, I'm Earle. He's Mustoe, together with the two Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's a good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.